Can you imagine biting into a KitKat bar and realizing that some of the crispy wafers inside weren't freshly baked but were actually once rejected or broken pieces, given a delicious second life? That little secret is part of what makes KitKat one of the most fascinating candy bars in the world. Add to that the famous snap, the silky chocolate coating, and the mystery of how millions of perfectly identical bars are made every day, and you have a story worth uncovering. But KitKat isn't the only snack with secrets. M&Ms, the colorful candies that melt in your mouth and not in your hand, have an equally surprising origin rooted in wartime necessity. And if you've ever popped open a can of Pringles and wondered how every chip looks identical and stacks without breaking, the answer lies in some of the most advanced snack engineering on the planet. So today we're pulling back the curtain on these legendary treats. Sit back, get comfortable, and let's dive into the deliciously engineered world of KitKat, M&Ms, and Pringles. The story of KitKat begins with chocolate. Lots and lots of chocolate. Giant blocks of chocolate are melted down until they flow like silk. But it isn't just about melting, it's about precision. The chocolate must be carefully tempered to achieve that smooth glossy finish and the perfect snap when it hardens. Imagine this molten chocolate traveling through insulated pipes, always kept at the right temperature, waiting to coat the bars. In another part of the factory, enormous ovens bake wafer sheets from a mixture of flour, sugar, and water. The sheets roll out golden and crisp, filling the air with the smell of freshly baked cookies. But here's where it gets interesting. Not every wafer makes the cut. Some crack, some break, and some crumble. Instead of being thrown away, these imperfect wafers are ground down and blended with chocolate to create the delicious filling that goes between the layers. In other words, every imperfect wafer helps make every KitKat perfect. Once cooled on arching conveyor belts, the wafers are coated with that chocolatey filling and stacked into 3 layers. This structure creates the signature crunch that KitKat is famous for. But crunch isn't everything, stability matters too. That's why the layered wafers are cooled again before high-tech robotic arms slice them into precise bar shapes. Each piece is perfectly uniform, designed to fit seamlessly into molds of chocolate. The process of encasing these wafers is mesmerizing. First, a thin layer of liquid chocolate forms the base. The wafers are gently placed on top, pressed just enough to settle into place. Then another layer of chocolate cascades over the top, fully covering the bar. Excess chocolate is smoothed away, leaving a flawless surface. The bars are sent through a cooling tunnel where the chocolate solidifies, capturing that world-famous crisp snap. Finally, the cooled KitKats are wrapped in their iconic red packaging, but before they leave the factory, they're scanned by high-speed cameras and X-ray machines. These machines check everything from size and shape to the internal layers, ensuring only the best bars reach store shelves. While KitKat was designed to deliver a satisfying crunch, M&Ms were designed to survive. Born during World War II, M&Ms had to endure heat without melting in soldiers' hands. The solution was genius, a hard sugar shell encasing soft chocolate. The process begins with chocolate once again, melted and tempered for smoothness. The chocolate is poured into tiny round molds, cooled, and hardened into uniform chocolate centers. At this point they look like plain chocolate drops, nothing too exciting. But the magic happens in giant rotating coating pans. The chocolate pieces tumble as sugar syrup is sprayed onto them layer by layer, gradually forming a crunchy shell. The shells start white, but soon vibrant food-grade dyes are added. As the candies spin, they transform into the colorful rainbow of red, yellow, blue, green, orange, and brown that every American kid grows up recognizing. But the most iconic part is still missing, the M. After the shells are colored, the candies move to high-speed printing machines where each one is stamped with a tiny, unmistakable M. Thousands are printed in seconds, ensuring authenticity. Once again, technology steps in with advanced cameras and sensors checking that each candy is round, evenly coated, and properly stamped. The imperfect ones don't go to waste, they're recycled back into production. Finally, the perfect candies are sorted, weighed, and sealed into bags ready to hit store shelves. Every time you pour a handful, you're guaranteed that rainbow mix we all know and love. That famous slogan, "Melts in your mouth, not in your hands," isn't just marketing. It's the result of decades of engineering the perfect candy shell. If KitKat is all about crunch and M&Ms are about melt-free chocolate, Pringles are about structure. Unlike regular potato chips sliced from whole potatoes, Pringles start as a dough. Dehydrated potato flakes, cornstarch, and water are mixed into a pliable dough, rolled into thin sheets, and cut into perfect oval shapes. These shapes are placed onto metal molds that give them their famous curve, the hyperbolic paraboloid. It's not just a fun design, it's a mathematical marvel. The curve ensures the chips are strong, resistant to breaking, and perfectly stackable. Once shaped, the dough pieces are fried in hot oil until golden and crisp. As they travel down the production line, they enter a seasoning station where they're coated in flavors like sour cream and onion, cheddar, or barbecue. The rough surface of the chip holds seasoning like a sponge, ensuring every bite is bold and flavorful. Here's where Pringles really stand apart from traditional chips: the stacking. Instead of being tossed randomly into bags where chips can break, Pringles are carefully stacked into tall canisters. This design not only saves space but also protects the chips during transport. A foil seal keeps them fresh, and the resealable lid makes it easy to enjoy them anytime. Like KitKat and M&Ms, Pringles undergo strict quality control. Misshapen chips, undercooked batches, or irregularly sized pieces are removed, leaving only flawless stacks. By the time a can of Pringles reaches you, you're guaranteed that satisfying crunch with every chip. All three snacks share another surprising detail: sustainability. While they might be indulgent, the companies behind them are constantly finding ways to minimize waste. KitKat reuses broken wafers, M&Ms recycle imperfect candies, and Pringles reuse misshapen chips. What might seem like factory rejects actually become part of the very product you enjoy, ensuring nothing goes to waste. It's efficiency wrapped in deliciousness. Think about it. Every time you unwrap a KitKat, pour out a handful of M&Ms, or pop the lid off a can of Pringles, you're not just eating a snack. You're tasting decades of innovation, precision, and creativity. From the snap of a KitKat, to the rainbow crunch of M&Ms, to the flawless stack of Pringles, these treats aren't accidents. They're the result of engineering meeting flavor, science meeting fun, and tradition meeting modern technology. That's why they remain some of the most beloved snacks not just in America but across the world. Have you ever bitten into a chewy candy and wondered what makes it so addictive, so perfectly balanced between soft and firm, sweet and tangy, colorful and fun? For millions of Americans, that experience comes wrapped in a bright box with a name that has puzzled candy lovers for decades: Mike and Ike. This candy may look simple, just little elongated pellets of chewy sweetness in every color of the rainbow, but behind that familiar box is a fascinating story of immigrant ambition, decades of innovation, and one very unusual secret that makes this candy unlike any other. It has to sleep for 48 hours before it's ready to eat. Yes, you read that right, your favorite chewy candy has a bedtime. And today, we're diving deep into the sweet world of Mike and Ike to uncover why it naps, how it's made, and why it has remained one of America's most iconic candies for over 80 years. The story of Mike and Ike begins in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania in 1940. At the time, the U.S. was still recovering from the Great Depression, but candy was booming. People craved affordable little luxuries, and a Russian immigrant named Samuel Bourne saw an opportunity to bring something new to the market. Bourne was already known for his inventive candy-making skills. He had previously been credited with creating the machine that put sticks into lollipops, and his company, aptly named just Bourne, carried his philosophy: candy should be fun, chewy, unique, and consistently high in quality. With that vision, Mike and Ike was born. The name, however, has always remained a mystery. Some claim it referred to members of the founder's family, while others insist it was inspired by vaudeville comedy duos or movie actors popular in the 1940s. The truth has never been revealed, and that little bit of mystery has only added to the candy's charm. From its earliest days, Mike and Ike was never just another sugary treat. Its chewy texture set it apart from hard candies and chocolates, while its bright colors and evolving flavors kept fans coming back for more. Classic flavors like cherry, orange, and lemon laid the foundation, but over the years, the lineup has expanded to include watermelon, green apple, grape, and even special editions like Tropical Typhoon and Berry Blast. Each new release was carefully developed to meet changing American tastes, but one thing always stayed the same: that signature chewy bite that makes Mike and Ike instantly recognizable. But how exactly do these chewy little candies get made? It all starts with a deceptively simple recipe: sugar, corn syrup, and flavoring. While these may sound basic, the proportions and timing are guarded secrets. Inside the Just Born factory, giant industrial mixers churn these ingredients together with precision, ensuring the perfect consistency for candy that must hold its shape, withstand polishing, and deliver a lasting chew without being sticky or tough. The mixture is warm and glossy, almost like liquid glass when it's ready for the next step: molding. Here's where things get quirky. Instead of rigid molds, Just Born uses cornstarch to shape the candies. Trays are filled with a smooth, even layer of cornstarch, and then thousands of tiny candy-shaped indentations are pressed into the starch like a stamp. The warm candy mixture is poured into these impressions, settling perfectly into its temporary home. Cornstarch is the unsung hero here. It prevents the candy from sticking, holds the shape as it cools, and allows for that glossy, smooth finish once the starch is brushed away. When the candies have firmed up enough, the trays are flipped, the cornstarch is sifted and reused, and perfectly formed little Mike and Ikes are ready for the next stage. And now comes the strangest step of all, the nap. Every piece of candy is sent to a climate-controlled room where it rests for a full 48 hours. During this time, the precise balance of temperature and humidity works its magic, transforming the texture into the chewy, elastic bite that has defined Mike and Ike for generations. Skip this step and the candy would be either too hard, too sticky, or lacking that signature snap when you sink your teeth in. This sleeping process is one of the brand's most closely guarded techniques, and it's what truly sets Mike and Ike apart from competitors in the chewy candy market. Once the candies have woken up from their 2-day slumber, they still aren't ready for packaging. First, they need their signature shine. The candies are loaded into massive tumbling drums, where they're polished with fine layers of sugar until they develop that smooth, glossy finish we all recognize. The tumbling process doesn't just make them pretty, it adds a protective coating that locks in freshness, prevents stickiness, and gives the candies their irresistible appeal. Watching this step is mesmerizing, as dull pellets gradually transform into gleaming jewels of candy, each one identical in size, shape, and color. From here, the candies face their final challenge: quality control. Automated systems scan for consistency, checking everything from shine to texture to flavor. Only the candies that pass inspection make it into the iconic boxes. These machines work with incredible speed, filling and sealing packages so that candy fans across the US can grab a fresh, colorful box from the store shelf. But the story of Mike and Ike isn't just about chewy candy, it's also about responsibility. Just Born has made a strong push toward sustainability, reusing cornstarch molds to cut down on waste, adopting eco-friendly packaging materials, and reducing emissions in its factories. They know that today's consumers, especially in the US, care about where their food comes from and how it impacts the planet. By committing to greener practices, Just Born ensures that future generations can enjoy the same candy while leaving a lighter footprint on the earth. Over the decades, Mike and Ike has become more than candy, it's become part of American culture. It's the snack you find at the movie theater concession stand, the box you trade with friends at school, the sweet treat tucked into holiday stockings or Halloween bags. It's nostalgia in a box, reminding adults of childhood while introducing kids to a timeless chewy tradition. Marketing campaigns over the years have played on this identity, sometimes funny, sometimes quirky, but always reinforcing one message: Mike and Ike is the candy that sticks with you. So why do people keep coming back? Part of it is the variety, flavors for every mood, from tangy green apple to bold watermelon. Part of it is the chew, that perfect balance that only comes from its mysterious 2-day nap. And part of it is the trust that Just Born has built over 80 years, consistently delivering candy that tastes just as good today as it did in the 1940s. Next time you tear open a box, think about the journey inside. Those little candies traveled through massive mixers, delicate cornstarch molds, a strange 2-day hibernation, shiny sugar polish, and strict quality checks, all before landing in your hand. Each piece represents decades of history, tradition, and craftsmanship. And yet, despite all that complexity, they remain one of the simplest joys you can buy: chewy, fruity, and fun. Mike and Ike continues to evolve, experimenting with limited edition flavors, seasonal releases, and creative packaging designs. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe new bold flavor combinations, maybe even more sustainable packaging innovations. One thing is certain: as long as Americans crave a candy that's fun, colorful, and just a little mysterious, Mike and Ike will be there, chewy and irresistible, waiting for its place in your pocket, your movie night, or your childhood memory box. So, which flavor is your favorite? Do you reach for classic cherry, tangy green apple, refreshing watermelon, or something more adventurous? Whatever your answer, one thing is clear: this isn't just candy. It's a story that has been told for over 8 decades, one chewy bite at a time.